Another thing is that you should be kind of concerned about clones too, because all human beings have 7 clones. All of us in the Tiru have 9 clones. Did you know that, Farasa?
No, I didn't.
And every one of your clones is identical to you, more identical than an identical twin sister. In other words, take the sheep Dottie. She could have had a sister by the same parents, and they were twins. But if you take human twin sisters, and then one has a bad kidney, and the other twin offers one of her kidneys to replace it, you think the identical twin has to take antibodies to keep her body from rejecting identical twin sister's kidney, or not?
Yeah, probably.
What do you think, Farasa?
Repeat it. You said, does she have to take that one?
Antibodies to keep her body from rejecting the kidney that was donated to her by her identical twin by the same parents.
She would take it from the twin.
I understand, but I mean, would she have to take medical antibodies to keep her body from rejecting it like she would from another person?
No, she wouldn't, because they're one of the same.
Wrong. She would have to take antibodies. Look it up real quick on the internet. Somebody. Don't believe me, check it out. She's got to take antibodies, even for a kidney donated to her by her identical twin.
Why is that?
Somebody got the background open. You hear the feedback?
Yeah. Why is that?
Evidently, they're not. In other words, the difference between a twin, identical twin, and let me explain something. The answer to the question is that the sheep Dottie probably had a sister, brothers. You know what I mean? And if sheep have twins, animals have twins like people do. What they did is they took a cell out of the udder of the sheep Dottie. Look it up online. While somebody else is looking up an identical twin would have to have antibodies to keep from rejecting an organ donated by the other identical twin. Really, seriously, don't believe me, check these things out. Anyway, when they took the cell out of her udder and then they cloned another sheep like Dottie from the cell in her udder, when it reached maturity, it was identical to Dottie. So you would think that would be like an identical twin, right?
Right.
Wrong. No, that is Dottie. That's another Dottie.
Right.
So it wouldn't need antibodies because it's the same cell. It's the same. Let me say about people, and then you can understand it better. See, Farasa, every cell in your body has its own mind, its own unique mind. Even every atom has eyes. I want everybody to take it, understand what I'm saying. All atoms have eyes, and every cell in your body has its own independent mind, but as a collective, they have a collective agreement to work together. So what I'm saying is that every one of your cells is Farasa, and it has the same DNA strain, RNA. It has all the genetic information that you have as the one you see in the mirror. Let me say it again. You're made up of billions of little Farasas.
Okay.
Right. So if they take one out and then they nurture it and grow it up, it is you. Are you following me?
Well,
so there is no rejecting. I'm sorry.
I am following you now. I wasn't
right,
but I'm following you now.
Now, somebody should be asking the question, well, why do we have 7 clones and 9 clones? What is the purpose?
I got a question. I do have a question concerning that.
Yes.
And my question is, when was these clones made? You say you had 7 clones of us. When
they were made at the instant of your zero time reference, the instant you were born. They took it from that same cell. They took it from that same cell culture.
And where they put the other clones at, though? After the person is born,
those clones are not put anywhere like in storage. They actually walk around the earth.
So when
they live in a regular life just like you.
And I'm saying one baby is born, like we was born in Charity Hospital, right? We was born in Charity Hospital.
Yeah, me and you were, yeah.
All right, so when we was born, where was the other 6 clones?
Well, let me explain something to you. It doesn't make any difference about location. When they took the cell out of the udder of Dottie, they could put that culture in a petri dish, and then they could use in vitro fertilization to put it in somebody's womb in India.
Okay.
Got me? But now, your clone is so much you that, for example, Malachi gave an example of, now he doesn't smoke cigarettes and never did, but he has a clone in Tibet that does smoke tobacco. And sometimes when he talks, smoke comes out of his mouth because his clone smokes a pipe. Or sometimes some of you all might be walking and then you get a strange sharp pain somewhere and you're like, what? And there's no reason for it at all. Like, you never, but your clone might have walked into a sharp object or something. You follow what I mean?
I understand. It happens to me all the time sometimes. But how do we feel the same pain and we get, miles?
You don't always, but sometimes it's just like talking on the phone used to be when you get the lines crossed up. And then, I'm in Canada. How did you get? Who are you? How did you? It's like that. Frequencies cross. But
one of your cells die. One of your clones die.
That happens. That wouldn't affect you in any way.
Oh, okay.
But now, the question is how do you know whether you're the original or the clone? Because
exactly.
Right. Now the thing is this. Somebody should have asked the question, well, why were the clones created? The clones were created for body parts. Because the original, if you are the original, if he or she gets in an accident or has a failing kidney or something, then what they do is they take it, whatever's needed or necessary from one of your 7 clones.
So these are
to repair you.
Wait. All right. I got another question now. You shouldn't know the original one. Go ahead.
I thought people might want to know how you tell. I think what she was asking is how do you tell the difference? How do you know whether you're the clone or not?
Right.
Well,
or the original. Well, let me give you some examples of how you can make a distinction. Now, clones, all the clones, they're accident prone. They're fumble fingered, like, you know what I mean? They have a tendency to be kind of clumsy, knock things out like this, like that. And they're all extremely arrogant. They think they know everything, self-centered and arrogant. It's just attributes that they have. I don't think I'll go any further, but I give you some emotional and physical, because physically they would be
all right, it makes sense.
identical.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question. When my son was born, I was at the hospital and watched him born, watched when they took him out and washed him off and everything. And that was, wouldn't that be the original one that you see being born?
Not necessarily.
Well, how did it get born?
All the clones are born too, and they have parents too.
Are they all born at the same time?
Yes. Unless there's some issue with the pregnancy.
So wait a minute.
They're not necessarily born at the same instant, but I mean, they're
all born the
basically
same.
They're the same. Yeah. It's
so
the same cell culture.
Time period?
So they're all born in the same week?
Same time period, right. Mm-hmm.
So they're all born around the same
like
week.
you couldn't, let me give you an example. You couldn't tell the difference between, at maturity, you can't tell the difference between Dottie and her clone.
Right.
Correct.
But you don't know
because her clone would be, let me explain, her clone when reached maturity, would be chronologically the same age as Dottie. Her organs and her, if they could be gray, she would be gray-headed. In other words, it's Dottie. So it's not like a child that would be younger. It's an identical clone.
Yeah, same age and everything.
It's just small, and when it reaches the full maturity of its growth, you can't tell it from Dottie.
Mm-hmm.
There's no distinction.
You don't all grow at the same time, though?
Say it again.
They don't all grow at the same time?
That's what I'm trying to explain now. They don't have to. See, in other words, Dottie is evidence of that, and you can look it up. Dottie is the name of the sheep that they cloned. So, of course, it wasn't at the same time because Dottie was a fully mature sheep when they took the cell from her udder.
Right.
And they took that culture and they raised it up. And when it reached maturity, it was identical clone. A clone is the same. It was Dottie.
Right.
You could name it something else, but it was Dottie.
Right.
It was the same age and its organs and all of that. It wasn't a child.